Thank you for joining us with Frankly Speaking the News. First of all, I want to thank everybody for joining us at Frankly Speaking the News. We're very excited to bring you a fantastic guest, a close personal friend. She's a sister in Christ, and she's from the area in Ukraine and Moldova, and her name is Ludmila Gomez. She's fantastic, and I'm going to ask her to introduce herself and give you a little bit of a background of where she's coming from. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the map, and we'll talk about Ukraine and some of the events that have transpired here recently, and also the cause for these events. So with that being said, Ludmila, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm so grateful that you're here. And I just wanted you to introduce yourself, talk about your family, where you came from, how you came here. Please give us your history.
Hi, my name is Ludmila Marinov Gomez, because I got married. So I'm from Moldova. Moldova, it's a country between Romania and Ukraine. I came here in 2008. In 2009, my country was a little revolution that I never see before. And so I was very involved in everything what happens in my country. And I have friends and family all over the Russian, Ukraine, Romania, because and in Europe, because our people are immigrated, like I can say, like the Mexicans and South America here. So we everywhere. And we have a lot of culture mixed of Russians, Ukrainian. We call Ukrainians hohols. It's a name special because they speak Russian as well. Lately, they speak more Ukrainian because they were obligated by the state to speak Ukrainian only. But usually they all speak. Romanians don't speak Russians. Romanian speaks only Romanian. So this is making difference. The culture of Moldova is the same as Romanian culture. We eat the same food, mixed with the Russian and Ukrainian food. But in the end, the dances, the feast, the Christian Orthodox religion is the same like in Ukraine, and some mixed with the Russian. And this is making us difference between Romania, because we speak Russian. And my family, I have my brother here that he came in 2012. So he was participating in the revolution from 7th of April 2009. That was kind of revolution, the turning of the government, the same as 6th of January. So you can have a little comparison, kind of like this, like the people going peacefully, and after that starts somebody with the masks and all that. For me, this was new. We never had in my life such thing. My brother was there. He told me they were paid to make that revolution. So after that, in 2012, when he came here with his wife, in 2013, 2012, started the revolution in Ukraine. 2013. The revolution started from the thing that was two presidents. One was of Europe and one was of Russia. So was like kind of the elections, how the country is divided. The election was even. And the one that was orange, the orange party was for the Europe. And then they make a recalculation, something like this. I don't know exactly how happened that the one of the Europe win. And everybody was happy, even United States, Europe, everybody applauds. And then starts to come all the businesses, and Ukraine starts to become nicer, like not the Ukraine, like poor country, like starts to come businesses. But of course, all the CEOs were Americans, because they never put somebody else. they will keep the property. And it's good to invest in a poor country. So you are the oligarch there.
Right.
So then after that, the people kind of still, some of the people wanted the Russian. Why? Because if you got the Europe, everything is got expensive. It's European prices.
Right.
So Russian are not so good with you anymore. Because Russia and Europe are not good friends. Europe pays the gas expensive. What Ukraine had a special prices, like in my country. We are the poorest, so we had very, very low. We had before. So when you got to Europe, you want to be European, then you pay European prices. So everything starts to get more expensive. So the people kind of didn't want that. They wanted to go to the peaceful life. That they have gas, they had to sell their products, because the most of the country it's agriculture, like my country. And in the end came again the elections, the Orange Yakunovich, I think. I don't know exactly the names, the president's names. I wasn't following the names. I just know the Orange Party, and that came another one, the president. He was very, very bad with economy, something in the country. So they wanted to make external businesses, like with Europe and contracts. And even he explained very well, the new president they come, that was not that he was of Russia. He was like a populist, like for the country, for the people. So that's why he won. He was the one that was in competition the first time and the people say finally is the one that should to be. But the problem was that Europe didn't allow the Ukrainians, like they put a lot of stops with the businesses, and like you need to pay fee and a lot. For Ukraine said, I don't have any benefits, so I don't want to make. So we said, what I can do? I need to grow up the economy of the country. I'm going with Russia. Russia, welcome, you are our brothers.
Ludmila, let me ask you a question. So that's fascinating. So what they did was they put restrictions on the Ukrainians. So even though they let them enter into the Europe market, they really didn't, in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
They were putting restrictions on top.
Exactly. Of it. Something that the Ukraine is not benefiting.
Right.
Everything is benefiting for Europe. So they said, what is the point?
Right.
It's not the point. So he goes to Russia, and Russia said, no problem. We give you can bring because Russia has, Europe doesn't need Ukraine and Moldova. Right. They need Russia. Why? Because they can deal with the businesses with the gas. They need from Russia gas, what they don't need from Ukraine. So in the end, you make the business, like my country makes the businesses through the Russia, and Russia goes to Europe. Like the wines selling to Russia, and Russia puts the bottle and sell it. So then started all the revolution that the people actually go and revolt why they canceled the contract of Europe businesses. Because he canceled. It's no good business for the country, so he canceled. So the people start the revolution. And he said, it's a good that the people talk, it's a free expression and all that. But the more interesting was it's the people gotten how here in the Washington, in the plaza, that it's a plaza there.
Right.
And the 2013 and 2012 starts to appear a lot of televisions, very like here, liberals television, with a lot of these things that the people kind of like it, the young people, like it. Oh, we were Europe, we are democracy. So starts to, but this in 2012, 2013. So, you need to brainwash the people till 2012. This was with that president that he was of Europe, the liberal one, because his wife even had somebody conditions and Washington D.C. So then starts all that the infiltrating people into that revolution. And I watched some videos from that time, and analyzing it even was like Like here, the people say it's a trap. People, no, don't start it. This, I'm like, I was looking now and these days, and I'm. It's so much like 6th of January. I know I understand so much how I didn't see it before, but now I see so clearly because everybody's singing, praying, and after that comes from nothing, starts to the police, and some of the police, you need to understand, it's very corrupt. The police there.
Okay.
It's like you can buy $100 and you say that you need to beat somebody now. And there was a lot of televisions there from all around the world because the president didn't have anything like to hide. He didn't close the can come everybody to check, So came and television were making the angles to show like the how bad is the
So they were
people in the government.
sensationalizing. So they were sensationalizing the protests. They were exaggerating the protests.
Exactly. And making that the people from the government are the communists, look what the Russian do, and always on Russian side. But actually, no, who started the revolution was people with masks, like how here Antifas we call
Antifa, like Antifa, okay.
Exactly. The same style, the same. Throwing the fire, the same. This was the same tactic in my country, 2009.
Wow.
So now, and that time, my brother was calling by the friends and said like, come, look, we're going to the war. We will be paid like $1,000, something like this. The Americans pay good money. They bring a lot of money.
So wait a minute. Are you saying that they went to Moldova and recruited young men to start a revolution, and they got paid with American money?
Yes.
Oh my God.
They come to my country and to Bulgaria, to Chechnya, to a lot of countries that were like ex-Soviet countries. I think no Polonia, because the countries that are in Europe and Union Europe, they cannot get there. But these countries that they are Bulgaria, they are there, but kind of they are poor too for the Europe. They are not so important. Polonia, it's important country for Europe. Yes, but Bulgaria,
Ludmila, they went and recruited them to start the revolution. They paid them to start riots and to start doing activities and going after people.
Yes, but the first how they start? No, they start the war actually, not the revolution.
Okay.
They start the war in Donbass and Luhansk. Okay. Because the people there needed to start to something with the fire.
Got it. And these are the areas that are predominantly Russian speaking, right? Yes. So they recruited from outside Russia to go in there and attack and Donbass in that region and start a conflict.
Yes.
Oh wow.
And I know this for fact because the mother of my sister-in-law, that my brother's wife, she's from Luhansk, from one of that regions. So, like for example, when there was elections here in this country, she told me, if you choose Biden, you are that country, because he is the guilty what happened in our country. And I didn't understood because I didn't kind of, knew that she's politically, because she's kind of communist. She has these communist ideas. So kind of didn't pay attention. She is not the person to give me advices. But, when she was telling me about that, she was of the Kalashnikov. You know what Kalashnikov means? The
rifle, the Kalashnikov.
The rifle. She was sleeping with the rifle and she was killing people. And for me, like, this woman, maybe she's like, exaggerated. I didn't want to dig too much. Now I started to dig because I see what is happening. But before, when she was doing this in 2020, she was doing this, how she was telling me this story. When was the election? So you don't put together in that time. I don't care what happened in Russia and Ukraine, Okay, they are kind of with the same people, but I don't think they're like brothers. No, Ukraine always goes to Russia. Russia, they're always friends. They fight with them. I never thought about it. So when and what the thing is that in 2019 or no, in 2020, kind of like this 2019, I was watching a documentary from my country that it's called Mercenaries from Moldova and from Bulgaria, from another regions there that are close, from Uzbekistan. And they show documents, they show interviews, how the people were gonna arrest, or some were putting in the on the mental illness hospitals. Why? Because these people, and one who escaped from Donbass war, because the Donbass war, how I told you, was starting in 2014. Supposedly, from that revolution was escalating. That revolution, it was just the starting. You know, like 6th of January is just the starting.
Yeah.
I like to compare so you understand kind of what I'm going to. So in 2014, these people from my country that who give the interview was people from my country, and they give the back. They didn't want to give to show the face. But he was in a mental institution. He was receiving. He never worked in his life. And some people too were giving interview, talking about these two brothers that they never learned. They were the troublemaker and all that. They too were going to the war. Like the people who were going to the Donbass war were the most of the people that have this background, very bad, problematic, that they are, everybody's scared of them, mental illness.
Gangster type guys.
Yes. But we don't have gangster. These are the problems in my country, and the alcoholics, you know. So he was telling that they were recruited to go to give, like to start bombs. They will come, and they will come to Russia. They will go the trains, all that through the Russia, and Russian too were implicated here. Like some corrupt Russians were implicated, so they will go to Russia. They will got the the things, but were these Russians that more like Americanized Russia. The ones that you know that have money and they want they liberate Russia, they want like United States and all that. So this type of Russian, because they said that they were having a lot of dollars, euros.
Wow. So they had paid mercenaries.
Yes, that's why it's called mercenary, because it's paid. Like it's a crime paid.
Yeah.
So they say, do you like they said, oh, you pay like $1,000 for beginning, like we pay to give a bombs there, like destroy the buildings. The first time they told them destroy the buildings. Then after that passed, sometimes they come, you can kill the man, don't kill the woman and the children. Then after that, they were giving drugs to them, so to have the power. They will drug them to have the power, and said everybody was in drugs then. They will come with the cocaine, the bad cocaine, and give to everybody. Who was this coward? They didn't want it or something, said like, oh, I don't like it. They were killed, disappeared.
Oh my gosh.
So they were dying in the war, kind of thing, you know? And they make pictures of, this, how, not costume, how this the military have. The uniforms, military uniforms they will have. So they started then. Then, how I say, the most of the people, like from Ukraine, from this part of the Ukraine, how I say, the political system said, we cannot give the benefits to Donbass. Like they started to attack on that side. Who started all this march?
This was from Kiev, from the capital. They started saying we can't give benefits to the people in Donbass.
And Donbass and Lugansk. Like they didn't have the.
Do you know when this happened, more or less?
When happened?
Yeah, more or less what year? Was that in 2020 or 2019 or?
I think this kind of, and this time. And was so much chaos because already like the president didn't have nothing what to say. There starts like this little of Donbass and all that, then comes Russia to protect his people because 80% of the Donbass and Lugansk are Russian.
Russian, right?
So, you know, kind of, they didn't came, but they give like, oh, you need to protect yourself, you know. Like, for example, the mother of my sister-in-law, she told me, thanks to Russia, we have the Kalashnikov. Thanks to Russia, because the people start to
Yeah, because she could protect herself with a Kalashnikov rifle. Yeah, I mean, and so, you know.
Because the government doesn't allow you to have guns. So how this comes to attack you, and in the end starts to kill and bombs everything, where you go? You are just in trap. So they said, like, and the people, the worst part is the people come to your home, the same people, Ukrainians, come to your home stealing, killing, because it's type of the war. It's chaos. When it's like, when it starts bombarding and all that, the people, what they think, some of the crooks, how to steal. They start to steal the businesses, you know, like California, you go, you put a
smash and grab.
Yes.
Yeah, they start to be, they use it as an opportunity to loot and steal.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah, the very people. So that's happening. So that was happening in Donbass and
Lugansk.
And Lugansk.
Yes. So the people were like, you know, we need to protect. If somebody comes to my home, what I will do? So Russia gives them the how I say, this, some people go to, and please Putin. That's why Putin said, I couldn't resist anymore to see the bleeding. And a lot of people are immigrated there. How starts the war in Donbass and all that? Can you imagine? They start to immigrate to Russia, because where they go? Russia is the most.
Right.
So
the closest.
Yeah, and they said, like, Russia cannot receive so many immigrants. What will bring all the Ukraine? No, Russia said, you need to resolve a problem. We will give it to protect yourself. So then it's escalated. All these mercenaries and all that kind of they started. The mercenaries started, but they were arrested in their countries, like in my country in 2018 and 2019, they were arrested, and they were not receiving the money that they were told to. They will give, because they told $1,000. So, you know, if they make economy, everybody, oh, I become rich, you know, I killed, like, for the head, 3,500, and in the end, like, I killed these heads, and, you know, somebody needed to check, you know, and some was patriots of the Russians, for example. Some go without money. For example, we have a Transnistria, that it's a separatist country. It's in my country. It's called Transnistria. Their majority are Russian speaking, and they have ruble. They don't have my money from a country that are lei. They have different, everything different. They live in Moldova. They have a passport, a Moldovan passport, but they are
Lumila,
so they go.
Hang on, just, I'm gonna share the screen real quick. I want you to see it so you can give us an idea on the map of what we're looking at of the Donbass region and all those regions and Moldova. Okay, so let's go to the map here. Let me share this real quick. Okay, you see, I don't know, can you see the map, Ludmila?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, very well.
So I'm taking, so I know Moldova is here. Can you see my
yes, yes.
Okay. So Moldova is here, and she borders Odessa, which is a seaport right over here.
Odessa was Moldovan part.
West Moldova?
Yeah, was
Where's
Moldovan. That? Ukraine steal from us Odessa.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so so Odessa was part of Moldova?
Yes, yes.
I did not know that. And the Donetsk region is here, right?
Yes, and Lugansk.
And
Lugansk.
Lugansk, right here, right?
Lugansk. They call Lugansk, but the Lugansk.
Okay, so this is the region here. Okay, so this is predominantly a Russian speaking. Now, do you think that Russia is going to go into Moldova?
Okay, all depends of our president.
Okay,
our president was studying in Harvard. She's very Biden lover. Okay. So if she does mistakes, till now she did a lot of mistakes, but she accepted the ruble for the gas. So this is kind of good. She didn't go, till she'll be like, you know, oh, I don't need Russia. I'm not talking to Russia. Till she will not have this attitude, everything will be okay. Because we had already the problem of one president that he shows the middle finger to the Putin, and our economy in 6 months was devastated. Wow. The production was, everything was throwing away. You didn't have what to sell. Everything was closed. So he needed to say, please, I'm sorry publicly. He needed to be humiliated. You know, so
Now with Russia too, with Belarus and Russia bordering here in Poland, do you think there's a possibility that Belarus is going to come into the war as well? What are your thoughts on that? Because there's been talk that Russia may use Belarus as well to come into the war, or Belarus may come in by themselves with Ukraine.
No, they will not do by themselves anything, because Russia and Belarus, they are friends, and they are having a good relationship. And I don't think the Belarus will do something. I know they will do if NATO will attack. But I don't think that they will try to do something. And all depends, like this war, it's actually a NATO war. This is my opinion. This, it's not a war. This is just Zelensky needs a lot of money to restructurate the country. Okay. You know, like great reset.
Yes. So wait a minute. Ludmila, let me ask you. So like, it's similar to what happened with Black Lives Matter and Antifa, where in these democratic states, they needed to destroy the infrastructure so that they could reinvest. So they didn't prosecute them, let them run loose and destroy the infrastructure and tear down the institutions in those cities. Yes. So you're telling me the same thing is going on in Ukraine?
Yes, this was going on from a long time. They were making plans, and even it says on one side that in 2018, the Congress was talking about what we can do to provoke Russia to war in 2018.
Yes, I remember that.
Okay, so they did exactly, and the Russians said about that. They talked in the channels, they will do that, they will do that. Don't come close, don't come close. And they knew that they will provoke that. And Russia all the time said, you do that, we are attacked. It's like poking the bear, you know?
Yeah, it's like poking the bear. Exactly. I'm going to show you this here, this article, and this gives us a little bit of a history. Also, I wanted to go over that with you and get your impressions. How did it start, for instance? And they were talking about the tensions, like you were talking about. Remember, you were mentioning the Orange Revolution right here.
Yes.
See?
Yes.
It said tensions have dominated relations between Moscow and Kyiv since the 2004 Orange Revolution, just like you mentioned. Okay. And back then, and this marked its realignment in the direction of Europe, like you mentioned. By 2013, Moscow backed Ukrainian leader Viktor Yanushchenko. That's right.
Yanushchenko,
right.
Yes.
He says here, under Kremlin pressure to renege on a trade pact with the EU. See, they frame it differently, but they're saying that he was under pressure to ditch the trade pact with the EU, which culminated in Yushchenko being overthrown in 2014. Putin, who accused the US and the EU of instigating a fascist coup, responded with the most significant land grab in post-war Europe, the seizure and annexation of Crimea. Talk to me a little bit about Crimea, Ludmila. So in what happened in Crimea in 2014, take us down to your thoughts and what you heard and felt happened at that time in the region and what you were hearing from family and friends.
Okay, the Crimea, I have a cousin that he's in the Russian army, and he lives in Siberia. And he, like with the Crimea, I remember that Crimea always was full of Russians. Like Crimea was always Russian. But I didn't know. I found out here in the United States that Crimea actually it's Ukrainian. Was given as a gift for one bottle of vodka from the Gorbachev or from the Yeltsin.
Can you say
why? Because Gorbachev or Yeltsin, I don't know who of these two because I sometimes mistake the names. He was a drunkard and he was an Ukrainian. He was born in Ukraine, but he was, remember, a USSR president or the first president that came, kind of like this. So he's give a gift to his own country. This is very understandable. So then I found out here in this country that Crimea is actually Ukrainian, like in Ukrainian by the papers, by the how they separate. But there was the majority of people was Russian.
Was Russian, right?
Yes, and they had the double citizenship, like
but
Russian.
Didn't they have the Black Sea? That was before that was a Russian naval city. That was a Russian naval port, and it gave them access to warm water ports.
Yes.
So that's why Russia, I think, really wanted to get Crimea back.
No, Russia didn't want to get Crimea back. The thing is that this is the mistake that I don't like that they say. No, the people from Crimea, they always wanted to be with Russia because the majority were getting the Russian passport, like let's say Texas was Mexico's, right?
Okay, got it.
And the Texanian said, I have double citizenship and really I wanted to go back. So each country has the right to the referendum. How it's called that?
Reformation?
No,
referendum?
Yes.
Okay.
Each country has the right to a referendum. So Putin just give them idea. You can do a referendum, and after that you can, if you wanted, majority, like 90% of the population, it's Russian. Of course, they will want it to Russia.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So anyway, let me get back. No, you make a lot of sense. So let me get back to the article because we're already starting to see how the narrative is different in the media and how what's happening. Then it says here, then the move, which drew rounds of U.S. and EU sanctions, gave Russia full control over Sevastopol naval base, home to its Black Sea fleet. Okay. Russia went on to back separatist groups in Ukraine that proclaimed two independent republics, which is the eastern Donbas region along the Russian border. Now, in Donbas, so that the viewers understand, Ludmila, the majority of the people in Donbas, what is the percentage of Russian-speaking or Russian or citizens you think are in Donbas as a percent?
Like 80% or 80%.
80%?
80%.
Okay.
And they are really like, and Donbass and Lugansk. These two, the majority are Russians.
Donbass. So based on what you were telling me, in Donbass and Lugansk, you had mercenaries that were paid for by this administration to go into those regions and start trouble and act. Okay. So they're saying they got paid by the United States and the EU, or just the United States?
And the EU because it comes with euros too. It comes paying in euros too. So it was like euros and dollars in Ukraine. And that time wasn't like now appears oligarchs like we have in Moldova oligarchs, but in that time wasn't so many oligarchs. Everybody kind of they have the business like normal, but not to have oligarchs. But since the Europe and
right. Now, it also says here, and I wanted to get your question on, I wanted to ask you about this. It says Russia and Ukraine share a long common history.
Yes.
Though the former dominated the latter in the days of the Russian Empire and the Soviet Union, Russian and Ukrainian families share a long-standing level of kinship, even if the Soviets took it further with enforced codes of brotherhood between the two. Some Russian and speaking Ukrainians retain sympathy for the Kremlin, though a sizable majority of the 41 million back the integration with the EU. Now, I have a question for you. I've heard, and I don't know if this is true, that west of Kiev, you have more Ukrainian-speaking people. South of Kiev, you have more Russian-speaking people. Is that accurate in Ukraine?
About the Kiev, now I don't know about it, but I know that it's divided.
Yeah, it's divided. Like on the west you have, like on the west.
I know it's divided, but about the language, since came this law, can you imagine even I found out this recently that Zelensky, the president now, he learned this Ukrainian language just recently. He was making the movies and everything in Russia.
Oh,
he was everything Russian, and now he's talking. I never heard him speaking Ukrainian. Just now I'm hearing him speaking Ukrainian. He always was Russian, and the movies were in Russian and on the Russian channels. So it's weird. And I found out here recently. I don't know how true is that, but I'm telling you, I was fan of him, of his movies. I was watching all his movies. I had even these placards in my home, watching. He was very good comedian. And I mean, that's why they make a law. I don't know exactly where that law came, but they make a law that nobody have the right to speak Russian. And this, that's good for me. I never heard about the Ukrainians cannot speak. I go to Odessa. I was going to Odessa like you go to Miami to the
Right,
beach.
right,
So there everybody speaks Russian. We communicate in Russian. Since when you cannot speak Russian?
right.
Tell the
That
truth.
that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't.
Yes,
Yeah, that doesn't make.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and then it says here almost everybody, even those whose first language is Ukrainian, speaks and understands Russian. To your point, there it is. Okay.
But I tell you one thing more.
Okay.
That nobody talks about, but the history, how start the Russia Empire Russia. Guess who was the capital of the Russia?
You're kidding. Was it Kiev?
Yes.
Well, I did not know that. I had no idea.
Exactly, because a lot of people don't know, but I know the history because we learn the history how started the big empire.
Right.
So they start from the Kiev because the emperor of the Kiev, he was going and choose which religion he wants in his country. Mm-hmm. He became an empire, big empire, and he was growing. He was conquered a lot of countries. So the first was from Kiev, and he was living in the Kiev. Then he was going to and pick up the Greek Orthodox. They said, "Oh, I like it, the spirituality." So that's how they got to the religion in Russia. How they got, and they were more like St. Petersburg was Leningrad was called St. Petersburg or Leningrad.
That's St. Petersburg, yeah, and Leningrad,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Leningrad. So then after that, St. Petersburg, Moscow.
Mm. Wow, that's fascinating.
And then Kiev, it's Russian. It's more Russian than Ukrainian.
That's amazing because according to what I was seeing, the map, everything, the cities west of Ukraine, all the way to the border with Poland, that's mainly Ukrainian speaking. But that's just a quarter. That's about a third, maybe a half of Ukraine. The other half, the eastern side, is all Russian speaking for the most part. You've got Russian speaking as well. So that is pretty fascinating. That is
exactly.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And then it says here, though the majority of the nation of 41 million backs integration with the EU, almost everybody, even those whose first language is Ukrainian, speaks and understands Russian. Yes. For his part, Putin, in his speech setting up the invasion, invoked his preferred notion that the Russians and Ukrainians are one people.
Exactly.
It's a core element. He's saying it's a core element in his claim derived by
It's true. It's true. You cannot separate. For me, my opinion and how I see the things from different levels, and what I'm sorry for a lot of Americans people that they don't speak Russian. I speak and understand Russian. So when you see from different perspectives and you hear and the translation, sometimes it's so misleading that you just get angry. He didn't say that,
Right.
Because
you told me, Ludmila, we were watching some Russian translated video. I remember, and you told me, Frank, that's not what he's saying.
Exactly.
This is what the translators translating it incorrectly.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, I was stunned.
And you have sayings like Americans have sayings.
Right.
Call me a cab.
Mm.
For example, I say, and the cab's a person, and you say, call me a cab, and he said, you are a cab. But you see, the people don't understand sometimes that call me a cab. It's call me a taxi. Call me please for me a taxi.
Right. Call me a taxi. Exactly.
But the person understands. Call me a cab. Okay, you are a cab.
Now I'm going to ask you about I'm going to ask you about a very controversial topic, which again, the talking heads and all these things that are coming out, and it is why is Putin talking about Nazis? Okay, so let's go through this real quick. The Nazi reference was puzzling to outsiders. Russia has for years complained about political ultranationalists in Ukraine. To be sure, there is such a strain within Ukraine, and the neo-Nazi paramilitary fighters have fought alongside military, but Russia, whose complaint is tied to a history of Ukrainian nationalists collaborating with Germany in World War II in an effort to create an independent state, exaggerates the presence. Okay, so they're saying that there's reasons for the Russians to feel this way, because going back to World War II, there were collaborators in Ukraine with the Germans. So out of Ukraine. So what are your thoughts on that? Share with me your thoughts.
Okay, what I learned through the history.
Okay.
the Nazi, when they attack in the first World War II, World War One, and the First War, the Nazi get that part of the Ukraine.
Okay.
Was Russian, but they got the part of the Ukraine. Then, and that part they infiltrated there. Do you remember the pogroms?
No.
The pogroms that like 6 million people, no 6 million, less than a lot of millions people, 2 or 3 million people died because of the Nazi.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and Ukraine.
Right. Yeah.
And that part of the Ukraine.
Yeah.
Okay. So why they died? Because when came the Nazi, supposedly the people from that part of the Ukraine, they were so happy they were liberated from the communists. But the communists, the Nazi weren't so friendly. They were using them to attack Russian, and it was worse. They will not. They better to be with Russian again. But that's it. You are of Nazi. So that's why he's talking about, because in that part everything started, and World War, and that's why they lost. I think communists lost the First World War, the Russian, and in the second they said we will take the revenge. But you know that Stalin and Stalin and Hitler, they were friends. They separated our country, Moldova, from we were called Basarabia before. That's why Romanian called us Basarabian.
Okay.
Yes. So they took us from that part of Romania, and Hitler took the Yugoslavia, I think. I'm not sure about, but they took that. So they make the contract, if you know about the contract, Ribbentrop-Molotov. You need to know more about this contract, how they choose the countries.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That's why I'm talking to you, because we're getting an education from you about what actually is happening over there in Ukraine, Moldova, in the Donbass region, and getting an idea of what the conflict is really about and the history. So it's not the way it's being painted in the United States. It's being painted with a very simple brush of this is this is just black and white. It's not true. You've got cultures that are blended together. You've got peoples that are blended together. You've got economics that are blended together. And then you've got outside countries for their own greedy purposes that are intervening. They don't really care about the Ukrainian people. And they don't really care about the people in Russia.
This is clear.
Yeah, this is very clear. So by getting your perspective, we cut through all the noise and provide our viewers with what's actually happening. This is why it's so valuable. And I'm so grateful to you, Ludmila, for coming on and sharing this with us, because it's really important that the American public understand, and especially our Christian brothers and sisters understand what's actually happening, and our Jewish brothers, what's happening in the area, because we don't know. In the American, all we're getting is one side of the news. And so you're bringing us the second side, which is really critical.
And I just want to make a remark. Everything what I'm telling you, I learned in the school about the contracts and all that, because you need to understand, I was born in communism. And 91, it's already, we're coming out, but we're still in communism. So I know the both story, and I know how the communists fall, and I know everything from the coupons to have a lot of products and don't have the money.
Right. So you know the whole story. Well, there's two more topics that I want your opinion on. First of all, it says, is Putin's real beef with NATO? And I think absolutely yes, that's a part of the beef, because think about this. America was very angry, and we almost went to nuclear war because Russia was putting missiles in Cuba, which were 90 miles away from Florida. If they put missiles, if Ukraine became a NATO country and had offensive missiles right on Russia's border, she would feel the same way. I mean,
I totally agree.
Yeah. So it's a provocation, and it's like poking the bear, like you were talking about. Yes. So I totally agree. So I'm going to read this real quick. And it says, since the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 1990s, NATO, originally founded to protect Europe against Soviet attack during the Cold War, has expanded eastward. See, that's the key right here, is that they expanded eastward into countries that were once within Moscow's sphere of influence. Putin has made it clear that he views this as an encroachment, which it is, on Russian interest and historical betrayal by the United States and its allies, who he claims vowed not to expand the organization into the former Eastern Bloc. NATO leaders say no such promise was given, and that people of the Eastern European nations choose to join the alliance, eager to escape the embrace of the Cold War masters in the Kremlin. Now, here's the thing. I believe that they did make a deal. I believe that they did sit down and say, look, because like, for instance, they told Ukraine, we're going to just give your nukes back to Russia. They made a deal. And I think part of the deal was, look, you're not going to encroach, go right up to our border because we need a buffer. And I think that's the big issue that they're having right now. And because right now, I think number one, what's happening in the Donbass from what you're sharing, the light you're sharing, and I'm also thinking that the Western United States and Europe, they want this war, and they have instigated this war. And you and I have a lot of we share similar feelings about the reasons that they want the war, but they want the war, and they're pushing it. And so I think it's really important that, and here's another thing too, and I wanted to ask you, this is the last topic. You know that we now admitted that there's 13 biolabs in that eastern region of Ukraine, Donbass and all those areas and outside those areas, that were biolabs similar to the lab in Wuhan that was funded by the NIH. The United States helped pay and run for these labs, creating biological weapons. So and apparently the Russians have gotten control of those labs, as they did with where was the nuclear reactor that had the meltdown? Chernobyl. And the reason that they're saying that is because there was a fear that they were creating biological weapons, or viruses, I should say, that they could use against Russia. And what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I have a proof from my cousin.
Okay.
He gave me the proof of the documents that Zelensky.
Do you have them? Do you want me to share the screen so you can put them up?
I will send to you so you can share.
Well, no, if you can put it up on your computer, I can share the screen. I mean, I can give you control and you can hit share screen and we can see it.
No, yes, I can. They are in Ukrainian.
Oh, they're in Ukrainian. Okay, send them to me.
Yes, I will send it to you.
Okay.
Then you'll share it because I don't know how to.
Okay, no problem. Send it to me right now via email.
Via email.
Yes.
Oh my. Okay. I need first. Okay. Via email. I will share it to you, and you can put the down because it's I kind of get confused with the technology.
No problem.
Sorry, I'm not so good of that, and I don't want to lose more time. But I have a document that I will show you that we're talking about this right now, and it's in Ukrainian, but Ukrainian it's with Russian. They have how I say very common letters and all that.
Yeah, common language. Like if you can read Ukrainian, you could probably read a little Russian, and if you read Russian, you can probably read a little Ukrainian.
Exactly, it's this. So I can understand a little bit from the document that Zelensky give a order at February 24, 2022. Is the day that starts the war.
Oh, yeah.
But in these documents, it says that Zelensky destroy the laboratories, the biology. And the same day that starts the war.
It starts the war. He destroyed them.
He gives the order to destroy the laboratories.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
Who gives? The Zelensky, the president of the Ukraine, says, because we are Ukrainian document. Mm. And here shows the viruses that they were on that. Diphtheria. I don't know what is that, how to say it in English.
Diphtheria?
Diphtheria.
Okay.
They were creating viruses, diphtheria. They were creating many viruses that are Escherichia, Proteus mirabilis, Corynebacterius pseudophytis, Corynebacterium xeropsis, Candida, Serratiames. It's a lot of viruses
Okay, yeah, I can't see it there, but here's what I want to do. Ludmila, because we're going to run out of time. Here's what I want to do. I want you to send me those documents, and we're going to do a second Zoom meeting, and I'll put them up on the screen, and you translate for us as we go through those documents.
With translation, I'm not so good, but I will try to what I understand.
But you understand. It doesn't have to be
it's
perfect.
Ukrainian. It's
Exactly.
Ukrainian. I don't speak Ukrainian. I don't understand perfectly, but I know some of the words. I can pick it up to put it together.
Okay.
You know, maybe I'm wrong, you know, but the phrase that he said, destroy, it's clear. The president of Ukraine said to destroy, and that it's put the date and which day he put this document and who signed, and the laboratories, you know, the people that work in laboratory. So they signed too. Yeah.
Well, no, what we'll do is I'm going to see if I can get the documents translated via Google Translate. I should be able to do that. We'll bring it up and we'll talk about the documents. But I really want to thank you. And I want to thank you so much for taking your time, because it's extremely important, as you know, because you know that this information gets out. And I want to thank you. And I look forward very much to having you back on the show. And as soon as we get that translated, we'll do a second update on what's happening in that region. And God bless you, and you have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much.
You will.
Bye-bye.